Good evening, everyone. Sir Owen Disney here, and it is Saturday, and Saturday night because we've had a long day, actually. A lot of things have gone on today. Not really much of note, but I do want to bring them up anyways. Now, there's one big thing that happened today. Will was over, so we got something new that's coming to pop starting tomorrow. Something called a Will tutorial. Actually, it's going to be Will talking about his opinions on various subjects. And I can review right now, and reveal right now, not review, I was trying to say reveal, sorry. Basically that the first Will tutorial will be posted tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, so if you've watched this video, if you're a wrestling fan, you stumbled onto this video, then you'll find out first that the first Will tutorial here on Pop is going to be Rocko's Modern Life. That's right. Will's going to be reviewing Rocko's Modern Life, which he just purchased the whole season on DVD, and he's going to tell us all about it. And it's a very forgotten Nickelodeon classic that is very beloved and very well before its time. So you'll be very interested in that. And we'll actually brought along another guest today. So we saw the debut of Mr. Flashback. Yeah, his much heralded debut that I've been promising for about 2 months now. It's finally happened. It's finally on this channel, so what you can do right now is, after this video is through, just scroll down, find the playlist that says Mr. Flashback, and that video is right there in living color, and it will be the review of the first time Will is not Mr. Flashback. Before I say anything else, Will is not Mr. Flashback. I'll stop this before anything happens. They look a little bit alike, okay? Somewhat. But they're not the same person. And I will say, though, that because of the fact that they are so close to each other, yet not the same person, I want to let you know that if you have any words for Mr. Flashback, that you can tweet at WPadden, and will send them along his way. Of course, Mr. Flashback will probably just find them and extremely amusing and laugh at your expense, but that's how Mr. Flashback works. He's that kind of guy. So if you haven't seen the review yet, by all means, after this is over, go over there and check out the No Holds Barred review. Plus, the Will tutorial, like I said, it posts tomorrow, and next week, it already got in the can. Shh, it's for people that watch this video. Obviously, not everybody that watches this channel, or not everybody who is a Pop viewer, is a wrestling fan, a movie fan, a music fan, a Disney fan, or anything else that we cover on this channel. So, the ones of you that actually have watched this video, because I'm going to talk about NXT and not Impact, well, that was the other day, NXT and Smackdown, is going to find out that I have some secret information, basically letting you know that the next Will tutorial is coming next week. It was already shot today, and shh, don't tell anyone, but it will be about the Arkham series of video games for the Batman franchise. So that's going to be the second Will tutorial, and the first one is coming up next week. Now, Mr. Flashback did, in his very usual way, tell us that he does have a review planned for next week, and given the fact that, because of me, it is Hulk Hogan Movie Month, but then again, he screwed us all by basically saying that it's Hulk Hogan Movie Month, but because I waited to the end of the month, I only have to review 2 Hulk Hogan movies instead of 4. Good move, Mr. Flashback. Good move. But then again, next week, it's going to be even better. Because next week, his Hulk Hogan movie classic is going to be Santa with Muscles. Yes. Mr. Flashback will review another Hulk Hogan movie classic, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag yet again. For those of you that are lucky enough to watch this video, I'm going to give you some more secret Pop information. Mr. Flashback, I believe it's June 2nd. I think you want to mark, I think that's the date off the top of my head. Let me check to make sure. I'll check my handy-dandy calendar here. June 2nd, yes. Mr. Flashback is going, it's June 1st actually. Wow, okay. Never mind. Like I said, you guys know I'm not good at math, so there you go. And I didn't have a calendar in front of me, so I was guessing. June 1st. June 1st, if you are inclined, I would like you to let it be known right now that on June 1st, Mr. Flashback will be reviewing something that he has wanted to review for a long time. As a matter of fact, this is pretty much how I got him to decide to do the Mr. Flashback segments for this channel. And it wasn't the fact that I was going to give him his 15 minutes of fame or anything like that. No, no, no. He wants to purposely review this movie. So on June 1st, tentatively speaking, we are going to get a Mr. Flashback that you will not believe. And I will say right now that you guys get some secret pop information since you decided to watch this video tonight. Mr. Flashback will review Batman and Robin. So, yeah. There's always that. And Flashback is so passionate about his hatred for this film that this is going to be one of those to remember and have to be seen to believe. So, it's going to be pretty awesome, and we're going to be filming that in a couple weeks. So, like I said, Stand Up With Muscles next week, Batman and Robin the week after, and then the sky's the limit. And of course, we actually will have more old and new music reviews from our resident music critic, Ben, and Ben will be joining us later this week, as well as AJ is going to be joining me tentatively on Monday to talk about the finale of Celebrity Apprentice. We talked about Part 1 last week. We're going to talk about Part 2 and the crowning of Penn Jillette as Celebrity Apprentice. Oh, I mean, the winner of the Celebrity Apprentice, whomever it may be. Like, you guys don't know Penn's going to win. Come on. And, oh yeah, I'm going to throw out a little message right now. I went to Marietta yesterday so I could get me some Vegas Magic Squirtle because I want to help Penn win $100 grand for Opportunity Village. Well, it was completely out. It's completely sold out. So for all of you lucky ones that actually got to buy some Magic Squirtle, congratulations! And thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping Penn win $100,000 for Opportunity Village. It's a very worthy charity. Check it out if you get a chance to. Penn is very passionate about it, so obviously he definitely wants to win for the charity. It's not about fame, it's not about the drama, it's, like I said last week, it's all about the charity, and it's the American Red Cross versus Opportunity Village, Trace versus Penn, so we'll talk about that on Monday. And like I said, there's other things still to come this week as well. AJ, of course, will be reviewing Epic, as well as Fast 6, and potentially The Hangover, and also potentially The English Teacher. So all these movies will be reviewed in AJ's movie review coming up on Friday. So that's what we're looking at right now. So that's pretty much the schedule for the rest of the week. More stuff coming up. And once again, if you guys want to review something your own, if you want to talk about movies or music or television or video games, and I wink wink on the video games because obviously we need a video game reviewer because we had one in mind and kind of wasn't able to work out. So if you are interested in becoming part of the Popcaster Revolution, send me a message. Either tweet me at SirOwenDisney, or you can send me an email at SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. That's it, SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. Let me know you want to be a Popcaster. And you know what? We will showcase your stuff, whatever it may be, here on Pop, and you'll be seen by hundreds of people a week. Hopefully thousands. It just depends. Our view keeps going up and up and up, and the sky's the limit, folks. This is just the beginning of Pop. We're here in our infancy. And this is just the first month, so who knows what's going to happen down the road. So many people definitely enjoying the content so far, so I thank all of you that have watched these videos, that have subscribed to these videos, and have told your friends to do just the same. So, with that said, and that out of the way, I do want to get into why we're here 9 minutes later, as I look here on the iPhone 5, which is not giving me problems today. Knock on wood. There we go. So, that is going to lead us to where we're here tonight, and that is NXT and Smackdown. We're going to talk about NXT, which I called last week the best wrestling show you are not watching every single week. This week, it was alright. It's kind of, basically, we're leading to this huge battle royal to determine who's going to get a #1 contendership and a shot at the NXT champion, Biggie Langston. So, it's kind of paint by numbers this week. Not much storyline progression, just a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So, we start off the show with an awesome Divas match between Natalya and Summer Rae. And there were two Divas matches I watched tonight. I actually just got finished watching SmackDown a few minutes ago. And we had Natalya and Summer Rae on one plane, kind of up here, like where you can barely see my hands, because that's how high the match is, by women's match standards, no offense. And you have Caitlyn and Oksana on SmackDown, kind of down here, which wasn't the greatest, and we'll talk about how I think Oksana needs to be fired, but we'll get to that later on tonight. So, we get the match, and it went really good, actually. It went really well, and a very good showcase of Summer Rae, and she's coming into her own in NXT, and, you know, it's funny because if you watched her on Raw Monday night, she's definitely coming into her own in the WWE, so definitely she's going to be someone to watch, and she's already on the product. She's with Fandango, so once that ends, or if they want to put her in the Divas division on Raw or SmackDown, it's a perfect fit because she knows how to work. And I said before, she's kind of a mix of Maurice and Michelle McCool. You know, it's weird after looking at her facial expressions this week. I have to add Paris Hilton to that list as well. So, yeah, wrap those all into one, throw them in a blender, you got Summer Rae. So, she's out here against Natalya, and as usual, I'm very happy to see Natty on television again. Very happy to see her not around the Oddities 2K13, which I despise Hornswoggle, as everyone knows. And I don't think Khali needs to be used as much as he is, because he is 7'5", and he is an attraction. Kind of like how Andre was in his waning days, before he sadly passed away. But basically, what I'm trying to say is you don't need to use Khali every single week. Use him, like, sporadically. I mean, he's funny, and it's funny, I guess, because you cannot really understand what he's saying because of his strong Indian dialect, but it's just, there's too much to bear sometimes. And this is pretty much basically laying waste to that fact, talking about Caitlyn's secret admirer, and that's how they're using Natty on WWE programming, so, yeah. But you had her on Raw this Monday night in an awesome match with AJ Lee, which showed AJ debuting an octopus, which looked awesome. And, of course, she's calling it the Black Widow now. Shout out to Tara and TNA. So, because obviously they used the Black Widow term to talk about Tara and TNA, so, maybe WWE is just, well, maybe WWE doesn't even watch the shows, honestly. I mean, obviously they do. I mean, maybe the writer's like, oh, it's called the Black Widow. It makes sense. It's like, yeah, doesn't there another woman on the other program that used to work for us that uses the same thing? Doesn't matter. No one watches TNA. I know you're laughing, Will. I know you are. I can hear you all the way from over here. But seriously, folks, it very well could be just another slap in the face to Total Nonstop Action. But anyway, we'll get to the match, and the match went really well, and basically Natty went for the sharpshooter, and right at this time Paige comes out, because we're continuing the Paige and Summer Rae program, and this distraction allowed for Summer Rae to get thrown off her game slightly. Well, Paige gets up on the apron, and Natty gets shoved into Paige, so Paige gets knocked off, Natty goes down, she rolls her up in a schoolgirl, hooks the tights, and 1, 2, 3. So after the match is over, Paige chased Summer Rae to the back. So we still get the continuation of Summer Rae and Paige as we progress into almost the beginning of June. So this feud is not going anywhere, not anytime soon. I don't have a problem with that because this feud is awesome. Now, it actually gives me a reason to care. Kind of like what they're doing with Gail Kim, Velvet Sky, and Mickie James in TNA. But I'm sure Will would be upset if he saw me or heard me talking about TNA on a WWE branded program, or review in this case, so sorry about that, but it had to be said. Now meanwhile, we see Renee Young backstage, and she is having an interview segment with a golfer, or a member of the traveling cast of Newsies. No, it is not to be. It's Sami Zayn, who you guys would know, independent fans would know, as the unmasked version of El Generico. And he basically has a segment. He kind of flirts with Renee a little bit. And it is announced that it's something I'm really, really looking forward to next week. That gets me really excited about NXT, like it always does. And I'm not being sarcastic either. It's going to be a match, the first match for Sami Zayn, taking on somebody I personally think is very underrated, and that is Kurt Hawkins. And I think Kurt Hawkins is awesome. I think this match is going to be really good because for those of you that have just seen Hawkins on WWE programming, you know, I mean, you don't really know much about his style, his skills, but if anybody has watched NYWC, where him and Zack Ryder and Trent Beretta I'll bring up Trent Beretta in a second, actually. He's probably in the ring right now, to be totally honest, because I think there's a PWS Super Show going on as I'm filming this, so, yeah, that's awesome. Or I think he started the show off against Dan Moff. I don't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, he was on that show. Now, a lot of people in the WWE did not really get to see what Curt Hawkins had to offer, same with Trent Beretta. And I think that Zayn is going to bring out the best in Curt Hawkins. I think they're both going to make each other look phenomenal. I think this match is going to be a potential show stealer. And I think that hopefully the match will also be used to get Curt Hawkins back on WWE programming where he belongs. It's unheard of he's not on televisions. But we'll talk about NXT superstars that really need to be on WWE television in the next segment, actually. So, basically, when asked how he feels, Sami Zayn says, I feel confident. I'm excited. He comes off extremely polite, like he's a real baby facing it up. Honestly. He is definitely going to be a fan favorite. Now, I don't know how he's wrestling in NXT. I don't know if we're going to still see the Olay kick. Pretty positive the Brain Buster's gone, because WWE, I doubt, would let them use it. Because they took his mask off, so obviously they're trying to brand him as Sami Zayn and not El Generico. And I totally understand that. But if it's worked away kind of like how Pac has worked, I mean, they still call him the man that gravity forgot, but he's Adrian Neville. And how they're doing with Antonio Cesaro now, even though they had that hiccup where they had him yodel and they tried WWE him up. But they basically had him be the Claudio Castagnoli of old, and that's pretty much the Antonio Cesaro you're getting now. I think that's what's going to happen with Sami Zayn. I think the Olay kick will be fine. I still think that he's going to be over, and I still think the match next week with Curt Hawkins is going to be awesome. So I very much cannot wait until NXT next week. So, as I look at these horrid notes that I have here, because I write really fast and really sloppy, so it's kind of funny, and I can't do this without notes, but at least I'm not staring upwards at a computer screen anymore, so be thankful. Now, after this, we get a segment where we heard the very familiar, very creepy music, and the Wyatt family make their way to the ring. Bray Wyatt is clad in a mask, a protective mask. Now, I'll tell you the reason why he actually has the mask, because he has a broken nose caused by the match against Chris Jericho last week on NXT. But the reason he puts over the mask is basically, with the mask, he sees something different. He's going back to his roots. And he says he is the new face of fear. He's not human, but simply a monster. And he calls himself the Eater of Worlds. Isn't that Galactus? I think that's his name. Marvel villain. Let me check to make sure. I just gotta check that. Galactus, Eater of Worlds. Yes. Yes, Galactus, Eater of Worlds. I was right. Sweet. That's awesome. I love it when I remember things correctly. It's amazing. So, comic book nerds, eat that. Now, I'll continue this. He calls himself the Eater of Worlds, and I love that, because it's funny, because if you go to Bray Wyatt's Twitter right now, which I believe is Bray Wyatt WWE, you can, or WWE Bray Wyatt, I don't recall off the top of my head. I think that's another thing I'll have to check a second. Give me a minute, sorry. I just like to, I want to make everything correct, honestly. I really do, and if it makes me look like a fool, I don't want to do that. So, WWE Bray Wyatt, that's his name. Now, on Twitter, he posted his picture, his, profile picture, not profile picture, but his, his banner at the top. It is a picture of Bray Wyatt with his head tilted back, wearing his trademark hat. You see his Hawaiian shirt, and he has his tongue out, and he literally has it wrapped around the earth. And yes, literally, Eater of Worlds. I love this. That's why Bray Wyatt is awesome. Now, he says no matter who it is, and no matter how bad they pretend to be or think they are, they can't hurt Bray Wyatt anymore, because he's already dead. Chilling promo. I'm telling you, Bray Wyatt is the real deal. I said it on Twitter today, and I'll stand by it. Bray Wyatt is the real deal. This man will be a world champion within the next 3 years. I guarantee you. 100%. There are a lot of superstars in the NXT locker room that really need to be on television yesterday. They didn't miss the boat on them. They just need to get a storyline in place. Obviously, we talk about Adrian Neville. We talk about Claudio Castagnoli, which of course he is not on NXT anymore. Antonio Cesaro is now on the big show, obviously, and he is former United States champion. We talk about, obviously, Cassius Ohno, who had needed to be on television years ago, and now he's finally got an opportunity. Maybe he might be with Paul Heyman. Maybe he might be with The Shield. Who knows? But either way, it's going to be cool because obviously we are building in NXT at least to an Ohno-Wyatt feud, and that makes me a happy guy. Now, of course, when Bray comes out, he's out with the Wyatt family, who just won the NXT Tag Team titles last week from defending champions Adrian Neville as well as Bo Dallas. But we'll talk about them a little bit later in the show. So, Wyatt comes out in a squash match against a London performer that I've never seen before named Danny Burch. So, Wyatt ends up working in the match with the mask, obviously the protective mask, and he's got a wife beater on. It's black this time around, so he looks really ominous, to be totally honest. He hits that crossbody spear-like maneuver that I like so much. Then the nice avalanche in the corner, and after that, he dances with him and nails Sister Abigail, and that's the end right there. And after the pin is completed, he lifts the mask. And of course, the fans are swaying along with his very hypnotic theme music. Bray Wyatt is the real deal, straight up. And once you guys watched him on NXT, you'll forget all about Husky Harris. Husky Harris wasn't bad, it's just Husky Harris as a character wasn't quite ready for WWE. So now Bray Wyatt is definitely ready for WWE, and the match against Chris Jericho last week totally proved it. So needless to say, as soon as he is brought up to Raw or SmackDown, I don't know which promotion I'd put him on, which show. I'd put him on Raw or I'd put him on SmackDown. I mean, there's real reasons to put him on both. Either way, I don't care as long as I see him on television. Same with Ohno. So, he's definitely a highlight of NXT every week. So, speaking of Neville and Dallas, we see a promo between the two of them. And basically, they're trying to find out if, the interviewer's trying to find out if, Oliver Gray's okay, which of course is Neville's former tag team partner that the Wyatt family put on the shelf. That's the reason why the tag team titles were held up, and that's the reason why the Wyatt family are new tag team champions, having won the tournament to determine new tag team champions. Now, basically, there's a mention of the fact that there's going to be a #1 contenders rumble. That's right, a battle royal to determine who is going to be the #1 contender to Big E Langston's NXT Championship. Or is that Damien Sandow's NXT Championship? I guess we'll have to find out later in my review. So stay tuned. So he's like, John Cena says, never give up. And Bo Dallas comes off like a total toolbox in this one, really. And he seems kind of like very heelish, honestly. I don't know. The fans have kind of already turned on Bo Dallas. And I've said numerous times, I said at the Rumble, I said the matches with Wade Barrett, I said Bo Dallas is really nothing special, and he's not. But when it comes down to it, obviously he's on television and I'm not, so obviously he's doing something right. Now, basically what we have is the fact that you've got Neville, who's a hardcore babyface, and you got Bo Dallas, who's kind of a tweener at this point, even though the fans really want to boo him. So obviously he's going to turn on him, we're going to see them feud, and that's going to be the big feud for the beginning of the summer at least. That's what I think is going to happen. But you're going to have to build up more babyface tag teams before you even think about doing something like that. Now, he said that basically it's okay, John Cena says never give up, and I think all the names are gone now, so sorry, better luck next time. And Neville basically pipes up and says, I actually did sign up for that Battle Royal, and both were entered, so the final words before the promo ends, may the best man win. We'll see what happens there. So last week, we had a match between Briley Pierce and Sakamoto, and it was going rather well until the one-man ascension, Connor O'Brien, came out and basically destroyed both of them. So that leads to this week's match, which is a handicap match against O'Brien. So basically, first off, I want to say something. Now, okay, I'll throw it out here. I tweet wrestlers all the time. I'm not gonna lie, I do. It's just, some things need to be said. It's kind of like, it's not really a fandom thing. It's kind of like, I see them say something, and I want to say something that just ask them a question, or keeping up conversation. Obviously, it gets lost in like the billions of Twitter messages that are sent to them every single day, but I still kind of want to say what I have to say. So, I have been, like, reading Brad Maddox's tweets, and obviously I've been a big fan of Brad Maddox's work, and I don't, that's pretty much where we end that. But Brad Maddox called Conor O'Brien the one-man extension tonight. Yeah. First, it's Michael Cole using my spun him like a top line and calling Big E Langston Dolph Ziggler's heavy. Things that I did on this very channel, mind you. And now it's Brad Maddox personally stealing my nickname for Conor O'Brien, calling him the one-man ascension. This isn't something that I heard somewhere. This is something I came up with. So now, WWE, I know one of you flunkies are watching this show. So, hi WWE, and stop stealing my stuff. Now. Because I'll know next time you do it. Because I'm going to say something really random on this just to see if I can get you guys to talk about it. But we'll talk about that later. Now, it's really interesting and yet really sad, honestly, that this match happened because news broke a couple days ago that both Sakamoto and Briley Pierce were fired from WWE. And it's basically kind of like spring cleaning right now. It's basically trying to get rid of a lot of talent before they move developmental completely to Orlando full-time, using those facilities in Winter Park. They're really awesome facilities in Winter Park. And they needed to cut some ties with some NXT talent. So they got rid of a lot of NXT talent. And two of which were Briley Pierce and Sakamoto. So I don't know if they're going to be on television anymore. If there was any matches in the can. Any either squash matches or showcase matches of the two of them. Or any of the people that got fired, to be totally honest. But if not, this will be the last match you see of the two of them on NXT for the foreseeable future. So, basically, during this match, Conor O'Brien, which, by the way, once again, like I said last week, I'll say it again, I like the one-man ascension name. I think it's awesome. And obviously, Brad Maddox thought it was awesome because he stole it from me. But, I don't like Conor O'Brien. You look at a guy who's built like a tank. He is a monster. He has a great look. And he's serviceable in the ring. I haven't really seen much of Conor O'Brien's work. But I mean, he's serviceable in the ring from what I've seen. He's got a great look, though. He looks awesome. Kind of like the Disciples of Sin come to mind, to be totally honest. And basically, they put this over, but his name is Conor O'Brien. When I think Conor O'Brien, obviously, I don't think a guy that looks like the one-man ascension. Oh no. I think like this 180-pound babyface cruiserweight wrestler that is trying to make a name for himself, and he may or may not be a redhead trying to be a ripoff of Conan O'Brien. Either way, I don't think what Conor O'Brien looks like is what he looks like just hearing the name. So they really need to change that. WWE has a problem with changing names. Some of them make sense. Now, of course, at the beginning, I still to this day, obviously, Cesaro, I've adopted it, I use it, but I do call him Claudio Castagnoli every once in a while. And I'm finally starting to get around to the Seth Rollins thing. I mean, I've called him Tyler Black before, and Dean Ambrose, it's taken a long time to grow on me, but, you know, honestly, Jon Moxley is one thing, but Dean Ambrose is another, but they're the same person, so, the same character, so it works. I don't have a problem with it. Some of the names, though, I mean, it's kind of, like, lame. Like, the Divas roster in NXT only have one name. Paige works, it's fine, but, like, people like Summer Rae, they have two names, so it's fine. AJ Lee has two names. Natalya is okay. I mean, you called her Natty Neidhart if you wanted to, but, I mean, her name's Natalya, so that's her WWE name. But, basically, it's just a nitpick, basically, is what it is. Because I just don't like the weird names, and I really don't like Conor O'Brien's name. Conor O'Brien as a wrestler is awesome. Conor O'Brien as a specimen of strength and power, and he's just outright, like, creepy looking sometimes, like the way the eyes go. I mean, the Ascension could have been a great tag team if Kenneth Cameron wouldn't have got fired. So what they're looking like, they're going to rebuild the Ascension, and they're going to use Rick Victor. And Rick Victor comes out at the end of this match on the top of the ramp, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So during the match, we see a really awesome power move I've not seen ever. And it is a rolling side headlock. Yeah, you got me correct. He locks on a side headlock, and he rolled the takeover 3 times. So it looked awesome, by the way. And basically, at one point, Bradley Pierce clips out the knee, and they try to get some shine on the big man, and it doesn't really work out. He ends up whipping both men into the corner and pancakes them together with the avalanche, grabs them both at the same time, hits the double flapjack, and pins them both at the same time. So, like I said, after that, you had Rick Victor on the ring apron, on the top of the ramp, and that was it. That's pretty much what we went off with. So that was like dead silence. So we see Corey Graves, and for those of you that don't know who he is, you would know him in the Independents as Sterling James Keenan, and he's really awesome, and I'm very glad to see he's kind of like, I hate to do this, but he's kind of like CM Punk, to be honest. And he basically showcases that he's got the very depressed angle going down really well. He does a promo in the back saying his entire life has been nothing but ups and downs. You have to fail over and over until you can break through. And he personally has entered himself in this #1 Contenders Battle Royal. Well, at this point, Bray Wyatt comes into frame, and he can't really understand why he's so cool and acting like Mr. Cool when outside the war is already going on. He makes a call out to Cassius Ohno with, oh god, I can't wait for that match. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so strong style. It's not even funny. But of course, he says both men's times are coming. NXT officially belongs to the Eater of Worlds and the Wyatt family. Well, at this point, Corey Graves looks at him and says, you know what? Eater of Worlds? Maybe you've been eating something else. And your Wyatt family just kind of creep me out. They're really kind of skeevy. And he basically says, if you and your swamp people keep messing with him, they will all stay down. Wyatt laughs and says, we shall see then. Oh, God, I love awesomeness like this. I love NXT. The promos are phenomenal. So we get our main event of the evening after last week we saw Damian Sandow make an official challenge to Biggie Langston's championship, and he debuted the Terminus on NXT. But this time, he wants the NXT Championship and he wants Biggie Langston. So we get this match for the main event of NXT. Now, right before this is announced, we find out next week the match has been announced. It's going to be the main event, Bray Wyatt versus Corey Graves. And yes, I have zero problems with this. It is going to be an awesome match. And that is going to be really good. And of course, the debut of Sami Zayn taking on Kurt Hawkins. So there's 2 matches already announced for NXT next week. And probably 2 more. Usually do about 3 or 4 matches on NXT, given the fact they only have about an hour. I'd say around 35-40 minutes without commercials. And obviously, I don't watch them with commercials. I don't watch them on Hulu. I had to watch them on Daily Motion today, and it was terrible because obviously every 5 minutes there was ads. I'm sure you guys don't like the ads on this channel either, or any of your YouTube channels, but you know what? They're helping us all out in the long run because they all help us make money, and that's a great thing. Yes, that's how we make the world go round, people. So, we get to the end of the match. We go for the big ending, as always. And Sandow reverses into the Edge-O-Matic, which I haven't seen forever. Gets a nice near fall. Hits that California leg sweep. Goes for the Kobito Akiet. And this time, Langston's out of the way. The whipping, a kick to the chest, and nails a swinging neckbreaker, does Sandow. Nails the Kobito Akiet, the elbow of disdain. Still another near fall. Locks up the Terminus, and he ends up whipping him into the ropes. He gets caught. Big ending. Plants him. 1, 2, 3. And then after the match is over, as the fans are chanting his name, Sandow gets picked up like a rag doll because he is unconscious at this point. Nails another big ending, and the fans count with Biggie Langston 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because he's all about the 5 count. So that was NXT this week. And you know, we talked NXT for about almost 35 minutes, and that is awesome because NXT is amazing. So if you guys aren't watching NXT, then check out Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus has NXT, or you can do what I do. Just look on YouTube and try to find links. And eventually you will find this, and this is an awesome show, and I really wish more people would watch it, because it is really the show you're not watching. It's one of the best wrestling shows on television that you're not watching. It's not independent wrestling. It's completely different. They are very heavy on women's wrestling, not women's like diva-style catfights. No, it's actually about wrestling. I like this. I love the promos. They're very strong, and they let the right people talk. And I love Bray Wyatt. I love Cassius Ohno. And I just love what they're doing with NXT. So another good NXT show as we build up to find out who the #1 contender will be for the NXT Championship. And you know, at this point, if I had to guess, I don't know enough to think about it, but I think what they're probably building to, maybe potentially Bray Wyatt winning it, maybe, I don't know, maybe Ohno winning it. Could be somebody I'm not even thinking about. So we'll see. That's NXT for this week. And on that note, we shift from NXT to SmackDown. And SmackDown opened up with Miz TV. Excuse me. Now, I will say right now, I believe, I'm not positive about this, I might be mixing up my weeks, and it's possible because there's been a lot to do this week, honestly. And there's been a lot on my mind, so I might mix up weeks, but I'm pretty positive when this was announced on Raw, this was supposed to be a highlight reel segment, and it was not to be, as we see Miz TV. And of course, we see the Miz logo, the upside down W for WWE, which is what Miz had when he was WWE Champion. And everybody knows I'm a huge Miz supporter, always have been, and big Miz fit, so sorry Andy. But I'm really happy to see him back on television, and I like to see him thrust back into the title picture, and I think that's what they're going with. Honestly, they were building something during commercial breaks about the app, talking to Wade Barrett, and Barrett was discussing The Miz, and I think we're leading to Miz and Barrett to rekindle their feud for the Intercontinental Championship sooner rather than later. But of course, we have to start with Sunday, tomorrow night, at Extreme Rules. During the pre-show, Miz will take on Cody Rhodes. But I'll get to that a little bit later, too. So, we get a multi-man segment. And I mean a multi-man segment. There are 6 people involved with this, including The Miz. So, there's 7 people involved with this segment overall. I don't know what that means, right, playa? So, but we'll get to that in a second. So, the Big Show comes out. He basically says the only way that the RKO happened was from behind. All the sneak attacks are pretty much gotta end. Extreme Rules means no rules, no countouts, no disqualifications. He doesn't need any weapons because his hands are his weapons. Right, Taz? Now, Randy Orton simply says RKO equals TKO. And no, there's kind of a problem here. Orton says the ending that you just mentioned is kind of inaccurate. I was meaning to say, obviously, that the RKO is... It's not RKO, it's TKO, which is what the Big Show said. So, like I said, it's just in my head. It just, like, spins around. And, the ending is inaccurate. St. Louis, Missouri is the hometown of the Viper, obviously. He will not let Show beat him in front of his friends, in front of his family, in front of his home city. He says, trust me, in my hometown, the Viper will strike down the Giant. And this time, you won't get back up. Right at this moment, we get our next person to join the hit parade, and that would be the Dark Patriot, Jack Swagger, and Zeb Coulter. And they're basically out saying, you know, we're talking about Sunday being memorable for different reasons. It's going to be more memorable when Alberto Del Rio says the words, I quit. Or, if you want to go that way, he can say even no mas, which is I quit, in his native language. I'm quoting / paraphrasing, not mentioning it in my own. So, basically, he says no more sneak attacks, and he will become the #1 contender for the championship, and we, the people. So, at this point, ADR comes out with Ricardo Rodriguez, as always. He says, you know what, we're tired of hearing you talk, Zeb. And, you know, the only thing people will remember Sunday is pretty much ADR making Swagger say, I quit. Swagger is standing there at this whole time, just kind of like with a stoic look on his face. He might be high as we speak, but that's purely speculation, and I don't want to get sued, so that's speculation. It's not true, or I don't know if it's true or not. So, basically, in a funny moment, ADR calls Zeb Coulter Jumanji Man, which made me laugh. And he says, after this, Jumanji Man will never sneak into business again. Here comes Mark Henry. So Mark Henry has to throw his 2 cents in. Sunday, it's going to be about being memorable. This time, Henry setting world records. And pulling tractor trailers, throwing, dragging, and beating Sheamus like no one ever has before. He is the world's strongest man, and that's what he do. Yeah, I know I said it, but that's what he said, so we're going there. And of course, to complete this, Sheamus comes out. And Sheamus says, things are going to be memorable Sunday in this way. There's going to be a strap match. But you know what? Why wait till Sunday? Let's do a preview right now. So Sheamus comes out with the strap, and he hits the ring. The faces clear, the heels out, and we go to commercial break. So I was thinking that something's missing from this, obviously. When Sheamus' music hit to end the segment, I was thinking, you know what? Something's missing. You know what's missing? We come back commercial break, and guess what was missing? Here comes Teddy Long, just like I thought. And he comes out and he says, you know what, player? We're going to have ourselves a 6-man tag tonight. Again, paraphrasing, but that's basically what Teddy Long says. And I don't know how he gets power. I guess it's only because Booker T is away right now, taking care of an injury, and is having surgery at the point on his elbow, I believe. So, obviously, that puts Teddy Long in charge, which he should never be, because Teddy Long has been in charge of SmackDown for forever. So, this needs to stop as soon as possible. We got our first match of the evening. And apparently on Main Event, another show that I have no way of watching, which I may try to track it down from now on, maybe give you guys a Main Event recap on Wednesday, if I feel so inclined to do so. There was a match between Seth Rollins and Kane, and basically the numbers was way too much for Kane. There was a 3-on-1 attack, and the Usos came out and made the unlikely save. So that led to this match, the Usos against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So the match went pretty well, and you know what? Usos really had a lot of shine in this match. They actually got over quite a bit. I mean, hitting a lot of signature moves on both members of the Shield. Until Usos' kick was ducked, and Reigns got the spear, and that was enough for the 3 count. And after the match was over, they beat the Usos down. Here comes Kofi out for the save, but he gets trampled by the numbers game once again and tossed to the floor. Kofi brings in a steel chair as they set the Uso up for the triple powerbomb, and Kofi clears the ring. The Shield, of course, powders out through the crowd, and that ends the segment. So we set up for the match tomorrow, where Dean Ambrose is going to win the United States title from Kofi Kingston. That's not just hearsay, that is pure fact. So, we come back again, and we see The Miz talking to Teddy Long, basically saying, I'm happy to see you back, and it's not like you haven't even left, and I'm really glad to see you back on television. This is basically really redundant, to be totally honest. Here comes Damien Sandow for the interruption. He says, basically, how about you don't come back? How about maybe you stay off television? And how about, I got an idea, how about the Damien Sandow show? And you know what, Teddy? You can be my producer. And Teddy thinks about it for like a split second and says, okay, I'll take that in consideration, playa. But how about tonight you prove yourself? How about tonight in this very ring you face off against The Miz? You're welcome. Teddy Long, making matches, not knowing. Alright, we got our next match of the evening, which is another rematch from Raw. The Tons of Funk against the Primetime Players, which of course you know I really like the PTP, and I'm very happy to see them actually finally getting wins, even though they won on Raw. So, all signs point to the fact they're going to lose on SmackDown, and you know what? That's what happened! So, basically, on Raw, if you didn't see, and it wasn't even recapped on this, actually, which is surprising. Usually they make the quick recaps. On Raw, you saw the Primetime Players steal the win when Darren Young took the throw pick and jabbed it into the neck, allowing for Titus O'Neil to roll him up from behind, hook the tights, and get the pin. Well, this is a rematch, and this was just a straight tag team match, nothing involved. And real quick, Michael Cole, you have to decide if you want to call Titus O'Neil the big deal or the real deal. I'm sorry, but I'm old school. I'm a TV guy. And when I hear real deal, I think Bill McNeil, not Titus O'Neil. No disrespect, but obviously I'm thinking about Phil Hartman's character from News Radio. That's the real deal Beal McNeil, not the real deal Titus O'Neil. It doesn't work for me. Rest in peace, Phil Hartman. And basically, we go through the middle of the match. Brodus Clay hits the Sheeplex, and of course, the Avalanche. Nice power slam. Titus makes a save on the pinfall attempt. There is a double Avalanche standing, and basically D. Young gets sandwiched between the two members of Tons of Funk. They've hit the double splash, 1, 2, 3. So, it was alright for what it was. Oh my god, the match of the night. And I can say easily, this is the match of the night, period. I'm talking about both shows. And this might be quite possibly my best match of the week, honestly. And I think, starting in June, I may take Raw, SmackDown, Impact, and NXT, since NXT and SmackDown are last, and I'm going to start having my favorite match and my least favorite match of each show and of the entire week. So, by the time the week's over, you might get a top 3 favorite matches, top 3 worst matches of the week. So, that's coming in June. So, look forward to that on Pop. But the match, oh my god, this match was awesome. And I've been wanting to see this match for a long time. Chris Jericho taking on Antonio Cesaro. And before I get talking, might I say, Antonio Cesaro, with the jacket, with the beret, looks like the most badass guardian angel that has ever been in the history of man. That's got to be said before I say anything else. So, oh my god, this match was awesome. So Jericho hits a springboard dropkick. Wow, I gotta stop doing that. Cesaro gets knocked out to the floor. There's ended up being a backslide. Cesaro clotheslines him down, goes for the cover. This time, they go back to the reverse chinlock. And there's a nice standing chinlock, which he used numerous times during the match. Stayed away from the cravat this time, used a standing chinlock, which looks awesome. And Cesaro got crowned. And he goes for the Bulldog. Cesaro ducks out of it. Cesaro ends up going back to the chinlock. This time, reverse into the walls. The walls reverse. Lion Salt. Cesaro gets the knees up. And hits the double boot stomp. And still a kick out from Jericho. So, Cesaro goes to work with grounded punches. And Jericho tips up. Nails the step up enziguri. And still only gets a 2 count. So, Tilt-A-Whirl backbreaker by Cesaro. And again, Jericho kicks out. He goes back to the standing chinlock again. And then he locks up for the neutralizer. He tilts his neck like he usually does. Jericho reverses, going for the walls. This time reversed again. Jericho ends up going up top. And when he dives off, bam! European uppercut. And a near fall right there. Almost got it right there. Locks in that gut wrench, like the held gut wrench he likes to hit. Reverse into the walls. Nice quick tap out from Cesaro. What a match. Right after this happens, Fandango and Summer Rae come out. And basically, Summer Rae comes out by herself, and she's dancing, and it's a distraction as Fandango slips in from behind and goes for the sneak attack, but Jericho knows what's going on, and he basically sends Fandango to the outside. So Cesaro comes in, and he tries to attack, and he gets nailed with a Codebreaker, and that's the end of it. So, during this, obviously, we saw Jericho get busted open. Actually, when Cesaro hit the European uppercut, he bloodied Jericho's mouth. So, that basically happened during the match. And this match was freaking awesome. I'm telling you, Antonio Cesaro, regardless of what you want to say about him, he is awesome. He is an excellent wrestler. Not superstar. He is a wrestler. He is an entertainer, yes, but he is a professional wrestler. He knows his craft. He's great on the mic. He's excellent in the ring. He is pound for pound one of the best superstars in the entire roster. And that talks about all shows. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Easily one of the best in the entire roster. I think the only person that probably could hold a candle to him would be Daniel Bryan. And we all saw what happened with them in ROH. They kind of traded matches back and forth, wins back and forth. So, Cesaro is awesome. And JBL says something I've been saying for a long time on commentary, so I've got to give it up to the fact that I love JBL on commentary. He's awesome. Now, here's the reason why. He basically said that pound for pound, he considers Antonio Cesaro the strongest man in the WWE. Yes, JBL, that is correct. And it's something I've been saying for the last 4 months. So, that was awesome to hear someone I like say something that I said. Even though I kind of gave Brad Maddox crap about using my term, my name for Connor O'Brien, the one-man ascension on NXT. But, it's water under the bridge. It's JBL. JBL's cool. So we get another one of the We the People promos, this time talking about extremism. Basically, the real Americans in this case, they're not PC. Basically, being extreme is just a reaction to being in an extreme world. Real Americans want truth. And why ADR, who is a thief, makes you think that he's simply one of us, which he is not. He asks if Dolph Ziggler is really hurt, or if he's just afraid. What's really going on is that real Americans work hard, and they never quit. And at Extreme Rules tomorrow, ADR will quit. And he'll take his sombrero and run back home. We the people. Okay. You can say what you want about the storyline, and it's wrong in so many ways, but especially the way that Del Rio is talked about every single week. My God. But I guess it works, and it gets Swagger a lot of heat, so I guess that's fine. I guess that's how it works. Sure. So, we come back and we get our match, The Miz against Damien Sandow, which is the second time we talk about Damien Sandow, because of course he was in action against Biggie Langston on NXT, which we talked about a few minutes ago. So Cody Rhodes is out for commentary, and right away, they get on to him about the mustache, looking like George Harvey, which of course they never mentioned. They call him Errol Flynn, which is absolutely hilarious. I laughed at that. And they made a Ron Burgundy reference. They ask pretty much about him and Sandow, if they're still best friends. And Josh Matthews pipes up and pretty much asks if they are, if this is a what is it, a bromance? I believe that's what it is. And he's like, no, we're not using those stupid terms, we're just great friends. So, basically The Miz said, and Cody is, first one to hear that he is going to be a stepping stone to Miz getting the World Championship back. Whether the WWE Championship or the World Championship, either way, getting a significant singles championship back. So, basically, during the match, Miz crowns Damien off the ring apron, very Randy Savage-esque. Sandow catches him when he gets back in the ring with a knee. Cody gets on the microphone live and says fans should just stand up right now and respect Damien Sandow. So Sandow drops the knee pad and nails a knee with the exposed kneecap, gets a near fall. Miz ends up reversing, nails a jawbreaker, and Cesaro, wow, long day. Sandow catches back on top with a drop toe hold into the ropes and then dive bomb to the back of the neck. And basically, hits 5 huge knee strikes and nails the California leg sweep, going for the Kobe toe Akiette. This time gets a near fall. He locks on a nice chicken wing while he's grounded. It looks really cool, actually. So they trade blows left and right, and Miz hits the forearm off the ropes. Knee strike, and the Yakuza kick from the Miz knocks him into the corner, nails the Miz line, and crowns him off the top. Goes to the figure 4. This time Sandow reverses, but he only reverses because Cody gets on the apron for a distraction, allowing an attack from Sandow, which ends up backfiring. He gets single leg, locked in the figure 4, and he taps. So, yeah, that was that. So basically, of course, this was to beat Cody's partner, leading to the match tomorrow at Extreme Rules. So it made sense. A good match for what it was. So the next match we have is a non-title match between the Divas champion Caitlyn against one of the most useless females in WWE. Oh, sorry. The most useless heel female in WWE, Oksana. Obviously, everyone knows, and I totally believe it, that the most useless WWE female is Alicia Fox. She's awesome. She's obviously a jam-up girl, but when it comes down to it, it's just, no, the ring work is just not there. And I really wish there was other heels to challenge Caitlyn, because I would be not unhappy in this case, if Oksana was given her pink slip. Yeah, I don't want to see Oksana on my television anymore. She's okay attractive, but she's not really that attractive, and they're playing her up as a sex symbol, and I know that sells, and it does, but the person has to be attractive first, so, yeah. So before this match, basically we see, earlier on in the day, there was another message delivered by the Secret Admirer, this time being a lot of flowers and gloves. And apparently the Secret Admirer now has a Twitter account, which is NLUVW Caitlyn. Oh my dad, this is just getting ridiculous. So thankfully the match was somewhat short. So she went for the reverse DDT, and she got reversed in the turnbuckle. Oksana goes for a slingshot into the ropes and lands back on the knees, which looks a lot more impactful normally, but it didn't really work this time. And chokes her on the ropes. Nails the Russian leg sweep, and she does a seductive crawl, which looks kind of lame before the cover, and goes for the cover and a kick out. So she boots her in the midsection, clubbers to the back, locks on the Canadian backbreaker, but she flips out of it, pushes her off the ropes, and she spears her. Caitlyn wins. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And this whole match, I gotta just mention that Michael Cole and Josh Matthews, and JBL was kind of in it too, were pretty much going back and forth that Josh Matthews said at the very beginning that the secret admirer has to be unattractive. So immediately, they double-team Josh Matthews and say, well, you're unattractive, Josh, isn't you? And the whole time he was denying it, and obviously he's not, but it was done for comedic purposes. And he's like, you should do poetry like, hello, dear, I like your spear. Oh my god, my head hurts just saying that. I don't know how Flashback felt talking about No Holds Barred today. Anyway, we get our main event, and my god, my writing sucks on this, so I'm trying to try as best I can. The Big Show, Jack Swagger and Mark Henry against Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, and that's our main event. So, early on in the match, Swagger does that diving clip to the knee and nails Orton, so basically working on Orton's leg, kind of softening him up for the Patriot Lock. ADR gets tagged in, and he nails the 10 kidney forearms, goes for the backstabber, and ends up hitting the suicide dive to the outside. He goes up to the top, Swagger catches him, Kurt Angle style once again with a top rope belly-to-belly suplex, tags in the Big Show. Show gets some offense in and tags Swagger back in. So basically the heels cut off the ring a lot during this match. So basically works him over. Tag back into Mark Henry. He works him over. Tag back into Jack Swagger. And of course, I say work over a lot because I'm going to use that. So ADR fights out of the corner, nails the Tilt-A-Whirl backbreaker, and the Big Show interrupts the chance at a tag with a nice elbow drop to the midsection. So Swagger gets tagged in. He charges in, hits the ring post shoulder first, and there's a nice double down. Tag to the Big Show. Show drags out of the corner and locks up the alley-oop, which we haven't seen the alley-oop in a long time. He powerbomb attempt, and when he picks him up and is about ready to throw him over his shoulder, he gets ronded out. Tag into Sheamus. Sheamus ends up like a ball of fire, which is funny if you think about it. And he walks into the choke slam, reverse into white noise, brogue kick, reverse, choke slam, and kick out this time. Tag back into Swagger, who drops a nice leg drop, brother, and ends up getting Finley rolled by Sheamus, and another double down. So Mark Henry gets in with a beat down, tags in the Big Show, and basically, I thought it was hilarious because Swagger's taunting him this whole time. Basically says, say something now, fella. So, basically, short arm clothesline as Swagger gets in and nails the Swagger bomb. Goes for it the second time. This time, he gets picked up on the shoulders, fall back with it, and we have another double down. Orton gets tagged in and nails the 3.0 backbreaker. Nails the vintage Orton, which I refer to as clothesline, duck the clothesline, and Samoa Joe power slam. And at this point, Mark Henry comes in for the attack. Step up enziguri kick on Mark Henry, and a brogue kick on the Big Show knocks him to the outside. Swagger ends up getting nailed for the RKO while he's going for the Patriot Lock on ADR, and that's the match, folks. Really hard to remember, confusing, that was a lot of words there. Ending sequence there. But it was good, and I enjoyed it. So, SmackDown, again, paint by numbers, but not bad. Not bad overall. We're building towards tomorrow's pay-per-view, and we did really well with the opening segment, which got all 6 people from the pay-per-view involved in different ways, leading to the 6th man that ended the show. The Shield showed dominance, obviously, that Kofi tried to get his heat back, which means he's going to lose on Sunday. And the Tons of Funk got their win back from Monday night against the Primetime Players. We saw an amazing match between Chris Jericho and Antonio Cesaro. And for those of you that don't know Antonio Cesaro's work, check it out. Check out his Claudio Castagnoli work. Check out his Antonio Cesaro work in FCW or in NXT. He's awesome, and that match was phenomenal. Easily my best match of the week. So, we saw a bad Divas match, which we had a great Divas match on NXT. Sandow against The Miz was really good for what it was, and it was to build up the match against Cody, and that was not a problem with that. The main event had a very awesome finishing sequence, and that was the show. So once again, if you like these videos, thumbs up, leave a comment, do subscribe, tweet me at @SirOwenDisney, and we will talk more wrestling on Tuesday or Monday night, depending on if I have Will with me. So, until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.